Welcome to episode 3 of Car Conversations in the Morning with Jessica. That will probably not be any slogan I will ever use, but I feel like every time I come to you guys, I'm in my car. It's probably the one place where I have peace in the morning. It's just so nice and quiet. I just dropped my kids off. So I drop my kids off, and then school doesn't start a little bit later in West Des Moines, so I like to go home and get all of my stuff ready in the morning. And so I'm very thankful that daycare is so close. But today I wanted to share with you a routine that we do in the morning. So for me, positive affirmations have really been kind of like a game changer. One thing that I talked about yesterday was things go into your subconscious. So having signs around your house that are based in truth and things like that. So you're always reading it, and even though you're not consciously thinking about it, your brain is still picking up those cues in your environment, right? So things I really didn't have a purpose for this video, so I'm really hoping that my thoughts come out in a manner that makes sense. So when you're told things multiple times from different people, oh, she's scatterbrained, or you're telling yourself these things I'm just really scatterbrained, I can't get it together this year, all of these things, all of those things you're consciously thinking, but it's also going into your subconscious. And so you maybe unintentionally start playing those things out in your day, right? And so oh, I'm scatterbrained. So then when you start doing things scatterbrained, you are using confirmation bias, which means you find things in your environment to support your claim that you're scatterbrained, right? So if you change your language to you know what, I am I don't even know, instead of scatterbrained, you'd be I am organized, I have a conscious stream of thoughts that make sense. Maybe that's the difference between scatterbrained and not. What's the opposite? I don't know. But you can start telling yourself things I am organized, I am capable, I am smart, I can do difficult things. All of those things, even if you don't believe them in the moment, can start going into your subconscious, and then you will start looking for confirmation bias in a positive way. So you do something, you check it off your list, you're yes, I am capable, yes, I am, capable of hard things and getting things done on my list. And so you almost live into that, right? And so when you see messages and you see things around you, those are all going in your subconscious. So that's so important when we're talking to kids too. So if we're talking to our friends and we're oh, she's so naughty today, oh, she was just making such a mess and doing all of these things, your kids are hearing those things. And so when you're stop being a brat, or she was just such a brat this weekend, they are hearing that's going into their subconscious, and they will start living that out. And it's called self-fulfilling prophecy. So you are hearing these things and you are fulfilling what you're hearing. That's a thing. So when we're talking to our kids, when we're correcting them, instead of pointing out the negative thing, we really need to be purposeful in saying the positive thing. So instead of saying, you need to stop being mean to your friends, you need to share, you could turn that around and say, you are a kind girl, and kind girls share. You are a kind girl, and kind girls have gentle hands. So whenever they are hearing those things and seeing those things around them, they can start using that language and confirmation bias, and that works with our children too. So changing that language can really be beneficial, and it can be very transformative in our kids. So I wanted to point that out. So one way that I am super intentional about my kids, and doing that, it can be very hard in the day-to-day, just in the mundane and super monotonous things we're doing, to be very purposeful about that. So I get in my car. The first thing we do when we're backing out of the driveway is we pray. So today, God, I pray for Bryn. I pray that she knows she is strong, she is smart, she can do hard things. And then I try to, if anything's different in the day, we try to pray that, just talk to God, just start having those conversations. And so I say things like, today, mommy's going to pick Bryn up after daycare, and we're going to go, or not after daycare, after nap, and we're going to do this. And so that also helps with anxiety in kids and just letting them know what's going on. If she asks questions, of course I'm going to talk to her. It's not like this conversation with God, and it's, it's not open to conversation between me and her, but sometimes it does open up that conversation. But it always gives me an opportunity to remind her that she is strong, she is brave, she is smart, she is capable of hard things, that she is so incredibly loved. And then we pray for Corbin, and then that's just one way that I get those positive affirmations into her brain without her doing that. I also talk about things that she's working on at daycare, like, that Bryn is working so hard on potty training. She tells Miss D and Miss Faye that she's going she has to go potty before she goes in her pull-up. And on days that I forget to say that, she does not do as well. And I can tell you what, for people who don't believe in this, she is 2.5 years old. She's not trying to fix the system. So I know it's powerful. I've seen it in my own life. So I just wanted to touch on that and give you guys a little tidbit of our morning, our routine, and things that we are doing to help perpetuate those positive thoughts, and also just have more conversation with God in our day. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that this was helpful in any way, shape, or form.